Okay, we're going to focus today on revising body paragraphs. We're going to be editing and revising our drafts. So we're going to focus on these four items today: introducing evidence, transitions, shortening evidence, and linking our analysis back to our topic sentence. These are really four very important things that are going to help improve our paragraphs pretty significantly with not a whole lot of extra work. So I'm going to show us how to do this. So this is going to be our example thesis and topic sentence. We looked at this last class, and we're focusing in particular on MLK's use of personal experience and how that provokes people to fight against oppression. So let's look at how we start off this paragraph. Again, we have our topic sentence, and then we're going to focus on our evidence now. So we know in blue, this is our context or our introduction sentence before our evidence. And it's just going to give us a bit of, like I said, context. So what's happening with this piece of evidence? Who said it? Um, maybe a little bit of background information. So we know he's focusing on personal experience, Martin Luther King. So we have a nice transition here. For example, he recounts the atrocities Black people have experienced in the USA, and then it goes into the quote. It's a relatively long quote. So we need to look at a few things here. So we do have a transition, for example, but we don't know which text this is from just yet. So we want to add that in to clarify that. We could also add it in parentheses after if we wanted to. So that would be another option. But in this case, we're going to go and look at the revised example here, and we can see that we've put letter from Birmingham jail in the context sentence, in our introduction sentence, before our evidence. And then I have another way to introduce the quote, specifically just before it with he writes. Now, I could even improve he writes here further, and you have access to this document, and there's a lot here, so I want us to focus on just a few things. Introducing quotations, right? There's some ways that might be a little different than some of what you've seen before or what you've thought about. And so the prominent civil rights leader X puts it. So I like that. I'm going to take something from that and add that in. So instead of just saying he writes, I'm going to say the civil rights leader writes. Okay, so the civil rights leader writes, and then we have a quote here. Now, when we look at this quote, I have really cut this down quite a bit. So if we go back and look at the original, when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your brothers and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, brutalize, and even kick your Black brothers and sisters without legal action. Some of that I can cut out, right? We're not focusing on repetition or anaphora. So the when you see, the second when you see, I don't really need that. We're just focusing on the brutality and the personal experiences, right, in our topic sentence. We know that is a focus. So we can cut this down. You can see I've used an ellipsis here to show that I've taken out pieces of the evidence. So when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will, hate-filled policemen curse, kick, brutalize, and even kill your Black brothers and sisters without legal action. Right now it is just down to the very specific examples, and I've cut out some of that redundant or repeated phrases. And that helps make our essay more concise. So you can already see how much better this body paragraph is from adding in a little bit more specific information about which text, adding in a bit more detail about our speaker, and then cutting down our evidence using an ellipsis. So now we need to add in, obviously, our analysis, which is super important, and then continue the rest of the paragraph. So when we go to this example, and let's make this larger, we can see that I've added in now the analysis after the evidence of personal experience. Okay, so King's words provoked school-age children to put their lives at risk and march against segregation and his imprisonment. That was the consequence of his words, right? That is what he provoked. The participants of the protest connected with MLK's experiences because they had endured similar treatment by their own government and felt compelled to act as a result. So I'm connecting now, I'm linking now the evidence back to what we talked about in the topic sentence. If we are saying that MLK is using personal experience to provoke people, and specifically to provoke them to fight against oppression, we need to come back to that idea in our analysis. And so we have, he provoked, we're even using the same language here, King's words provoked school-age children to put their lives at risk and march against segregation, right? That is similar to fighting against oppression. And then I go even further, right? I touch on the fact that it's the personal experience that Martin Luther King and the participants of the protest felt that has helped provoke them to fight this oppression. So making that link between the analysis and going back to what you say in your topic sentence is really, really important. And this is the area that I really want you all to focus on. That's going to take a little bit more time and hard work than just adding in some transitions, right? But it's really important. Let's look at the second example. Later, so another transition, at the March for Freedom and Jobs, King continued to use personal experience to encourage people to protest injustice. So connecting these two ideas, right? Connecting these two examples. He said, now again, I could jazz up some of these a little bit. I could change he said, I could potentially go back and see if there's something in this list of examples that I would like to include. But for now, I think he said is okay. Now I do need to add in where this came from. So I'm just going to put, I have a dream in parentheses afterwards. We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of police brutality. All right, now I have my analysis again. King's examples of the Black experience helped remind his listeners of all that he and they had endured. And for white audience members, educate them on the issues that Black people constantly have to deal with in the USA. As a result, many thousands of people continued to protest throughout 1963 and beyond. So this sentence, the second sentence, is key because this is what is helping link back to what we said in our topic sentence, right? This is the proof that he provoked people to fight against oppression. The second sentence is really important. Okay? Now, as a result, this is a nice transition showing cause and effect. I didn't really do that up here. Okay? So either right here or potentially here, I could add in another example. So I'm going to go back to my list. And if I scroll down, like I said, there's a lot here. We're going to use the first and third pages today. But there's a list of cause and effect. As a result is one item that's listed here. But I also like consequently. So I'm going to add in here consequently, comma. King's words provoke school-age children. So now I have that additional piece of transition that's, again, helping to make my essay flow. And then finally, I just need to add in a summary sentence at the end. So my key points here, again, this is going to go back to what we said for our thesis. The key points are that Martin Luther King's words provoked people to fight against oppression. Now, we don't want to say that exactly the same, right? So let's look at the conclusion words here. As a result, consequently here again, right? Some of these are repeated. In conclusion, in sum, to summarize, there's a lot here, right? I like in short. I'm going to use in short to start this sentence. So I need to change my color. Go back up here and make this purple. In short, MLK's description of personal experiences clearly, and I could say provoke again, but I've already used it a few times, so I don't want to say provoke a third time. So clearly pushed people to stand up, and again, I could say fight against oppression because I haven't really repeated that word or that phrase rather. So in short, MLK's description of personal experiences clearly push people to stand up and speak out against and act, speak out and act, let's say that, and act against oppression. Okay, and now we have a complete, beautifully color-coded paragraph, and you can see that the green analysis is the biggest chunk of this paragraph, which is important because that tells me that that is your thinking, your ability to prove what you say in your topic sentence. And that's ultimately what the whole point of the essay is. Your thesis and your topic sentences are your opinions that you have to prove in the rest of the paragraph. And you can see I have a number of um, transitions, consequently, later, um, as a result, in short. Okay, so almost every single sentence has some sort of a transition as well. So you want to also go back. That should be something that you're looking for as you are going to edit and revise your paragraphs.